Hello and welcome to Breakaway with Dawn and Friends. Today I have my friend Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hi.
I think she has a beautiful radio voice, so in person. So I'm very curious to see how her voice projects on our episode. Um, so, Angela, thank you first of all for coming on and bring a brave soul to record an episode with me. I do want to first say I just love your energy.
Oh, thank you, Dawn.
So
That good energy recognizes good energy. I think we bounce off each other really well.
we do. And I have to say that I think people know by now I'm a life coach and I'm very much about, you know, only having things around you that satisfy, that serve you, right? That have a good positive impact and good energy, leaves you feeling good. Every time I walk away from this girl, I have an extra kick in my step.
Oh, that
And
sounds,
I don't
oh
know if
my
I told her
goodness.
that,
That
but we
feels
met at
really good
work.
to hear, though. And likewise,
Oh,
likewise. Yeah.
oh, thank you. We met at work, and I don't know, I just gravitated to her because of her positivity, because that is what I'm all about. She's always smiling and just joyful. And I'm like, okay, I like her. And you gravitate to, good energy. At least I do, right? So, I do feel that the people you keep, the company you keep, does have a reflection on you. And
Mm.
so I am very intentional with the people I have around me as well. So I do want to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Honestly, it makes my day to hear. It's very validating. And, like I said earlier, the good energy recognizes good energy. I truly believe that. And, it's likewise. I think your presence precedes your personality. For me personally, even before you and I had a chance to become better acquainted with each other through
Mhm.
conversation, you could just tell that you have a really good energy about you, that you have a confidence and a strength and the same kind of ambition and drive. I think that I
Oh,
do, and so we just we just vibe, we just vibe off the bat.
yes.
And I want to thank you also for giving me the opportunity to kind of, in a way, face a fear and try something new. I've never done a
Ooh.
recording like a podcast before, not even like a cameo on a YouTube video or anything. So this is going to be such a fun and exciting experience in itself, just to be here and just to be present with
And
you.
I love that. I think people need to say yes more in life, right? And be open to experiences. So it's funny because the way I see myself or think of myself, I don't expect others to. And so it's
Mm.
always validating and nice too that you receive me the way I want to be received.
Yes,
Yes. So,
exactly,
right.
exactly.
But I swear, like, I know I can be too much for some people, so they probably don't appreciate all this energy and positivity. So it's funny. So I do appreciate when people have as much energy or as much positivity. But I wanted to share with you, as you know, this is the month of the woman and also my birthday
Yes.
month. I just love this month. Anyways,
Ooh.
Aries. No, I'm just playing. But
Do you know
on
that? Do you know that I'm an Aries as well?
what?
Yeah,
Did you tell me that?
I
Did I
don't think
forget to
so.
tell
And I
you?
was just about to ask, is it something to do with our astrology signs? Are we compatible
Ooh,
that way?
when's your
But
birthday?
April 12th.
No way. Okay, girl, you are an Aries. I'm March 30th.
Yes. Ah, oh my
Woman
God. All
without
the
a
Aries holler
clue.
back.
I'm not surprised.
It's all making sense now. It's all coming together. That's the
Interesting.
energy.
Okay, now I do have to ask this since, do you have siblings?
I do.
And where do you fall in that range?
Do I have, sorry, siblings or?
Yes, siblings. So, like, are you the first, the middle, the last?
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of two. My older brother is 5 years older than me, and it's just us two.
Oh, so there's only two of you. Okay.
Yes, no
You're the baby.
sisters,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, it's just him and I, and I'm the baby.
I don't get the baby syndrome vibes.
It's funny because I kind of refer to him as my big little brother. Growing up, I always he he's a very down to earth, a very grounded energy and a very good head on his shoulders, a reasonable thinker, an objective thinker. And he didn't have to go through life experiencing things in order to learn them. He was very good at taking people's advice and kind of playing ball with the rules of the household and that sort of thing. I was a little different. I needed to push those boundaries, and I needed to find things out for myself, figure things out for myself. And I think that innately, sort of my personality lends itself to going out there and trying things. So I kind of refer to my brother as my big little brother, because it always felt like when we were growing up, I was the one paving the way and sort of breaking ground for us to have different experiences. As maybe especially growing up in an ethnic home,
Yep.
the parents have certain expectations for their children, and I think in an ideal world they would like for us to live our lives a certain way, in the way that they feel is best for us. My
Right.
brother had no problem going along with that and trusting that. I
Wow.
had to sort of push the boundaries, break ground, like I said, and try things out for myself. And in doing so, that allowed him to follow in those
I love
footsteps
that.
and sort of gain access to those freedoms, and then those, branch out in independence in the way that I was trying to do at a much younger age, if that makes sense.
It does. And
So
go ahead.
I think that's
No.
where our dynamic kind of, maybe that's where my personality lends itself a little bit more to the like maybe middle older sibling range.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I am the middle child, so I just wanted to know if we related on that. But I've been talking about this lately because I love human behavior, right? So I like to understand the cycle analogy of it, right? But what I was gonna say, what's interesting about what you told me is, and I don't know if you ever saw it this way, and you should thank your mom and dad, and hopefully they'll see it this way too. But you don't have little baby, baby syndrome, right? The child, what is that, little child, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but do you know why I think? It's
Why?
because they created such a safe environment for you to explore and to be brave and to, push the boundaries.
Yeah, I have to agree. My mother was a very loving. She knew how to pour compassion and, give us that sense of sort of talk about a fountain of support and love. That was my
Mhm.
mother. My father was an educator for over 30 years, a very objective thinker. And so from him, we were always free to explore intellectually, emotionally, um, and that came with its rules and its guidelines per my parents, and I think that was our safety net, was sort of,
Yeah.
you there's a world out there for you to take advantage of it and learn and explore, but do it wisely, do it, work smartly. And so I think you're right. I think I need to give them a overdue thank you. And now as an adult, having that retrospective point of view, to be able to see and understand not only what a valuable
Hmm.
experience that was, but how hard it must have been for them at times. I'm not a parent myself, but I'm sure
Hmm.
as a parent, it must be hard to sort of let go and to give your children that opportunity to explore, to grow, because you know what's out there, you know all the good, but you
Hmm.
also know the danger and the risk.
And we think about that, yeah, as parents.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I was saying because, like you had expectations, right? Is what you were saying, and you and your
exactly.
brother follow suit, right? But even though they had that, I love that. I'm sure they didn't like it, but I love that you felt safe enough that they gave you that environment for you to flourish. You know what I mean? Whether they
Yeah,
realize that or not, and that's why I was saying you should thank them. But it's a two-way
I
street.
will.
But
I will. I
yeah.
will. The confidence is key. And yeah, when I think about it growing up, there was never ever a time, even when we disagreed, my
Mhm.
parents and I, there was never a time where they had me in a place of self-doubt.
Mm.
Um, I was always given a really positive affirmation from both parents when it came to the decisions that I made or the choices that I wanted to go with, even if they weren't necessarily correct. I I don't think that they ever tried to dissuade me in a way that made me feel less secure in my abilities or in my confidence. It was more like, let's talk about this rationally and then, lay out all of the pros and the cons, all of the angles, and then you decide. So, in a way, I
Yeah.
was deciding myself out of my own decision. I think that was very smart of them. And I think that that allowed them to guide me, but never take away from that sense of
See,
assurance.
and that's what you're supposed to do. They gave you the tools, right? And I would like to think, okay, my daughter's only 16, so we'll see, girl. But I would like to think I've done the same thing where, like, I don't think people, especially young parents now, I was 27 when I got pregnant. So I very much knew who I was, comfortable in my skin, and I was ready to be a mom, you know? So I think that's what helped me. But
Mm,
I think that parents, young parents, or just people in general, I'll just say parents in general, I think sometimes forget that they're raising a human being that's going to live in
mm,
this world, right? So I would like to think that, I teach my kids from right from wrong. I let them know my expectations, but at the end of the day, you have to learn how to make decisions and live with them. There's
mm.
consequences either way, right? So, I've taught my daughter to be very brave and bold, and boy,
Good.
is she. So, but that doesn't mean she was going to turn out that way, but she did, thank God. But it's funny when you see my son, he's the younger one, he's a lot more soft and gentle and like he's barely coming in to at 12. Like I can see, him exploring things about like, okay, I'm like this, I like this, or but
Mm.
she knew that at 3 years old. It's crazy, like the difference between the girl and the boy.
So so wild, and that throws a completely different element into parenting, into working with people, is the nature environment or
Mhm.
element, because I'm sure you've heard of nature versus nurture,
Yes.
and what you're providing them is the nurture, the
Mhm.
external learning lessons and the guidance and the boundaries. But kind of as you're observing, as people, as human beings, there's the nature element to it, something innate, something that
Mhm.
can't be controlled or manipulated, because I think we're simply born with it. Um, and I think that definitely plays a role as well. So just
Well,
add that
yes.
to
Mhm.
the complications and the obstacles, I guess, the challenges in parenting and in being a family, is kind of everything that we've talked about so far. The tools of parenting, the tools of being even outside of parenting. I think being a leader, which you also know about, and guiding a team.
Yes.
Um, so utilizing those tools, figuring out how to do it in the best way, how to lead in the best way, but then throw nature into the mix, where people just have different personalities no matter what, as an entirely new level to what we're dealing with here. So I kudos to you, Dawn, because you manage and you manage well.
I only lasted 5 years managing people, and I'm like, you know what?
only
Only.
only 5 years is a
Only.
long time. I
Well,
think that's an
I
accomplishment.
guess I don't. I no, it is. I'm not taking, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm like I'm done. I love people. I love working with people. I love inspiring, encouraging. Everybody knows that by now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I got to a point where I'm like, this is no longer serving me. But I love my job. I love what I do. I've been in
Mm,
histology, oh God, since 1998. So a long time. It's all I know in that sense. But I just reached a road where I'm like, okay, I know I'm good. And as you know, thank you for saying that. I was a good manager. I did get good reviews. I had a great team, but I was just like, I'm done. Like,
mm,
it's not serving me, and it's really
yeah.
sucking the life out of me. So
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to find another position within the company, as you know, and so I'm still in the AP histology world and supporting the lab, but
Yeah.
I'm not their manager and I'm not responsible for them. So I'm so much happier. Girl, I don't know if I've told you, I feel guilty when I walk around and people are like, wow, look at you, Dawn. You're so happy. And one gentleman came up to me and says, I seriously aspire to be you. I'm like, oh my God,
Oh
really?
my
Like, because
gosh.
he was on the bench,
Congratulations.
right? And then I was the manager, right? 6 years ago, and he saw what I did with AP, and it's so funny. People, like, again, I don't pay attention to that, but people are always watching, right? So
Mm,
I just thought it was really neat that he was like, "Wow, look what you've done with AP!" Like, because I've done things manage wise with the team that other managers have not done. Like, I really thought outside the box, and just I really he saw that I poured into my team and I built them up
mm,
within my team, right? And so I remember him saying, "Wow, I see what you're doing. I like it." And then when he considered going into management, I felt so touched. I'm like, "Wow, thank you." He comes and had that conversation with me. And so we spoke about managing and what it looked like, and him going from the bench to managing, and then fine, that happened. He made it. He got promoted. Then we
yeah.
discussed a little more, and then I left and became, on another team. And he's just like, "Oh my, you look so happy." I literally, he's like, "I aspire to be." I'm like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Thank you." And I was like, I
Yes,
appreciate that.
Dawn.
But, you know, yeah, anyways, but I just thought that was very sweet of him to acknowledge that and say that. But honestly, I feel guilty that I'm so happy in my job.
Ooh,
It's
that's that imposter is that imposter syndrome? Is that what the young kids are
probably,
talking about when I hear that
I feel
on
so
social media?
guilty. I'm telling you, because I walk around like, and they're like, and I feel so guilty because everyone else is so stressed out and, trying to
You
make things work,
know,
and I'm just like, la, 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 la.
you know what though, Dawn? Different perspective for you. I think it speaks to your mindset and the place where you were at when you were in your previous position. Because believe it or not, somebody else, let's say just near joining the company, who happens to find themselves in the same position as you're currently in, may
Hmm.
not have that opinion. They may be working that job and feeling like it's overwhelming, or
Hmm.
maybe like it's underwhelming. They may
Yeah.
have a totally different view. And I think where we come from really has an impact and an influence on our current perspective of where we're at, whether that's like a relationship or a job or a living environment. For me, for example, I feel like I'll put it nicely, I was so ready to leave my previous job
Hmm.
that when I started working, at my current job with the current company, it seemed like heaven on earth. It seemed
Wow.
like an absolute day and night comparison. Like I had stepped out of a 30-year prison sentence and into freedom. And I was, and still am, I have to say, loving and
Hmm.
embracing every element of my new role. Yet at the same time, I would look around at my cohorts and at my peers who were in the same position, and they were tired, they were overwhelmed, they were, needing some breaks more frequently just to kind of, for them, they needed their turn to
Hmm.
step out into freedom. But what they were stepping out from was like freedom to me, just because in comparison to where I had been before, it was so much better, in my opinion. So, yeah, if that's a perspective and a little spin on it that I can give you, you don't have to feel guilty. I think it just means that for you, you paid your dues. You spent your time in the trenches, and now this is you working in an environment that serves you, that you're thriving in. And it's not the same for everybody, but this is how it is for you. And how special is that? And what a blessing that is that you were made for this role, for this moment. And
I
yeah,
swear it's true, but I do want to say I feel like I also manifested.
yes,
Because when I
I
was
believe in
struggling,
that.
right? Because as a life coach, you have the answers within. So as a life coach, it's our job to question you, right? And question your thoughts and your challenges and, what you think and your beliefs, whatever, right? So that's something I do. And this is why I'm a life coach. It's something I've always done. I've always sat and questioned myself on things. And so when I was not By the way, I was always happy, and you know this for sure. When I was a manager, I loved my job.
Mhm.
Everyone knew that too. Like,
Mhm.
and I was very good at it, and I loved it. But inside, I was like, okay, I'm done. So
Mhm.
I kept questioning myself, and I was like, God, but I don't want to. This is my baby. I built this lab. Like, I'm sorry, it is my baby. I take pride. I started with
And
five
take credit.
people. And
Yes.
I'm sorry. I say it every day and every chance I get. This is my baby. I built this. I nourished this. You know what I mean? So I started with five people and a handful of studies, and it's now 25 people when I left, and I think still currently. But anyways, it doesn't matter. But um, I struggle because I'm like, this is my baby. I love this job. Like I love, so I swear I manifested. I was like, there has to be a way. There has to be a way that I can still keep this job and,
Mm.
but just not manage. Like, and I'm telling you, and this is why I guess I feel bad because I'm not feel bad, but I do when I see people not happy, I'm like, you got to work that out. And that's internal. Work it out. Like,
Oh my gosh, I'm the same way though, Dawn. I feel you. I feel you because I think you and I we've gotten to where we've gotten through the hard work. Like I
mhm,
said, paying our dues, the
mhm,
networking, and for me personally, I kind of feel like anything, maybe I have kind of a stubborn streak. Maybe that's the
I do.
Aries in me.
Yep.
But I'm sort of like anything can be fixed. Anything can be worked out of or worked
Yes.
through. If I have a dream and I want to achieve a goal, there's always going to be a way that I can do that. Not necessarily
Mhm.
that I will. I think we can stand in our own way. I think some environmental factors can play a role, but in my mind,
Mhm.
it's like where there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
So I feel you when you see other people and when they're verbal about it too, like
Mhm.
saying that they wish they were in a different place or feeling like they can do better. I guess my mindset is like, then do better. You can. We all can.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes,
Maybe it's easier said than done, but
yeah, my slogan or my thing I was is change requires change. I
yes.
don't like anyone that complains and when they don't do something about it because we can all complain all day long, right? So for me, if someone comes up to me and they're complaining, I'm like, okay, so what are you gonna do?
It,
Because I'm not going to sit here and listen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to help
yes.
you figure it out. Like, okay, so what do you want to do about it? Because you have the power to change it. I don't care what it is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I see life that way too. I don't like no, like, don't tell me no, or don't tell me I can't do something. Like, I'm going to figure this
Exactly.
out. Yes. Oh, yeah.
No does not exist in my realm, in my scope.
Mhm.
Um, it's there's so many antidotes and things that I think we've heard around our careers and our life paths. Things like, change requires change. Don't stand in your own way, things like that. And maybe to a fault, I've really taken to that. I really stand on business when it comes to having a sense of control over my life. And I feel like there's a really popular, I don't know if it's a piece of advice, but I hear it a lot in the workplace.
Mhm.
Don't come to a manager with problems. Don't just come to your supervisor, the higher ups, and say, this is the issue. Come with
Mhm.
solutions as well. And I
Exactly.
feel like we can do that for ourselves. When you
Mhm.
think on your current situation and there's something you want to improve, don't just identify, I have a problem with this element of my life, or I wish that this area in my life would be better. Come to yourself with solutions as well. Don't
Yep.
stop there. The full circle and the full picture of it is identification and then addressing it and resolution, which
You
is,
sound like a life coach right now, girl.
oh my gosh.
No,
Well, I do have
seriously.
a degree in sociology, and maybe that's where I'm getting kind of this
Yeah.
mindset, this mind frame. But yeah, so we're on the same level with that.
I love that. I did want to say, by the way, we did not plan on what we're talking about. This is naturally us just having conversation. Okay, so we are just bouncing off of each other. But since we've gone in this direction of the conversation, with work and how we handle things, I do want to share that I went to a women's summit on Tuesday. It was at the
Ooh,
beach. It was Women's Health A to Z. I wish I told you about it because I know that you also, aren't you certified or something with nutrition or something, or
yes, food
right?
science and nutrition.
Yeah, so girl, there were so many different types of doctors there and people in the medical field, and it was literally women's health from A to Z. And I had an amazing time. So it's called SoCal Moms. And so every year they have this wellness event. So you'll have to go next year with me. I'm going next year.
Yes,
We got a
yes.
bunch of free things, girl. Like I think I paid $45 for the entrance, and they give you this tote bag, and you get to fill it up with one of everything that was given away. Like
Oh,
it was all kinds of
I
things. And
imagine. Do they have like booths and
yes,
stuff?
so they had
Oh, I
booths.
would just be like my open bag and just
Well,
pour it.
well, there was one full table, right? But they had the booths, but of course, people were advertising, giving stuff away too, as well on top of
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah,
but they had like different doctors there. So they had a panel, the one that I sat in on. They talked about a lot of it came up was your gut health and how your gut, like it's the stem or the root of some of a lot of the issues that you have going on, right? And
yes.
it affects your libido, it affects your hormones, it affects your mood, it affects depression, anxiety, it can increase it. Like it was just, now I felt like I knew a lot of the things, but it was still like just connecting the dots was very interesting. So this is not what I planned on saying, but I'm sharing. But what I was going to say is I went and spent the day. First, I want to say this, right? It was at the beach. Oh my God, I love the sun. Like my name is not Dawn for nothing. Like I love the sun. The sun gives me energy. Like that is my caffeine, or So
Mm.
um, I went home. Like was with two other friends. We enjoyed ourselves. I'll tell you more on that in a little bit. But then when we get home, I was just like the happiest person. I was like, let's go out for dessert. Like we and
I
the
love
next day I'm like my endorphins were going, and I'm just like, oh my God, I like, now mind you, I'm very conscious and intentional with these things, but I mean it took this to a whole nother level for me because I'm all about pouring into yourself and self-awareness, self-reflection, all that stuff. And but I mean, I just wish people would know that, like, so like if you're struggling at work and if you're not happy, like this is going to be my breakaway tip, because that's like breakaway with Dawn and friends. Like I like to give a breakaway tip would be to, be intentional with pouring into yourself and do things that you like. So I went with my two girlfriends because of the month of the woman. March is the month of the woman. There's a lot of little conventions and things going on in summits, and so I signed up, and I was supposed to go to one today, by the way. That's why I was going to meet with you later, but I
that.
actually waited too long and it sold out. But anyways, but
Oh, I
yes,
love
but
that though. It's like go
yeah,
on a tour of all the Month of the Woman events. It's
yes.
almost like a bar crawl, but with month with Women's History Month events. I love that.
Yes, like a girl. And so I just really like, for me, like I really want people to take away that, you know, it's so important to do that. Like it really centers yourself, you know what I mean? And I'm telling you, it literally gave me some natural like, I mean, I was on cloud nine, like for 2 days, and it's like, oh my, it was a Tuesday and I'm at the beach. I'm like, oh my goodness, I love this. I need to do this more. But
Yes.
anyways, so back to the gut thing. But yes, it was very interesting. And the hormones, because, I am in my 40s, so I'm turning 44 this week. So perimenopause, is a thing, you guys, and I swear I'm going through it. And so I got a lot of information about it, and natural remedies and things that you can do and be more, conscious of. And I think we all know this. It was very clear that your lifestyle does have an impact, right? But I love that even though they're doctors and they're supposed to push a certain agenda, they were very much like, find your joy, do something you
Mm,
like, keep moving. That's the thing. Keep moving. They're like, it doesn't matter, if it's just a walk, just keep your body moving, do things
mm,
that make you feel good. Of course, eat better. But I just love that they just weren't pushing a certain agenda, and they really did, push, pour into yourself, be more aware and do these things. So they had
That's
Reiki there.
incredible. Oh,
Reiki, they had a Reiki person there. They had acupuncture. They had the lymphatic, that machine
the
that,
drain.
yes,
Yes.
they
Oh,
had
you're
that
just going down my mental list as
there.
you're speaking. I'm like, okay, did they have their Reiki? Did they have their
Yes,
acupuncture? Like, you're
yes.
just going down and checking all the
And all
boxes.
the clean makeup and skin products,
I love that.
girl, they had a
Oh my gosh.
psychologist
And
there.
what an incredible time to be alive that we have access to this knowledge and these resources. As women, we can take advantage of it without any sort of societal stigma. I think that the way that our community is leaning, it's going to be embracing that sort of thing. And, working as we do internationally with other countries,
Mhm.
it never was more evident to me before than it is now how in America, in America's workforce, and as a woman in America's workforce, we
Mhm.
put ourselves through so much, and it can create such an imbalance when it comes to our health in all ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, in all ways. There are people in other countries that really prioritize that, and the community, society supports them in that. They're like, yes, take your 1 month a year off,
Mhm.
what,
With
regardless
no
of whether you're
judgment.
pregnant, getting married.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, take advantage of your breaks, of your time away. Um, if you need to take some unexpected, time for yourself to do something, shoot, feel free to share what that is. You're going to go see a concert. You can't come to work on, tomorrow because there's a concert.
Mhm.
Great.
Mhm. Mhm.
And everything with balance, of course. But I love that we're heading in that direction now. I think that's what I predict, health wise, and also just in regards to society in general. I feel like we're really leaning into that direction. And I love that. And I love that we're talking about gut health, that people are paying more attention. I myself am on a gut healing journey. I don't have any medical issues, thank God, knock on wood.
Mhm.
But just in general, it's good to keep up with that. So I'm taking my pre and probiotics. I'm having my fermented foods and trying to avoid gluten
Yeah.
right now because those are things that are going to help me heal and keep my gut in good health. And in doing so, the impact it's going to have on the rest of my body, like, I'm all for it. And exploring different methods of self-care, different methods of release of
Mhm. Mhm. Yes.
stressors and tension and all of that. That just makes us better people. And how can,
Right.
as better people individually, we come together to make a better society overall. So I love this for us, and I especially love that for the month of the woman, because who needs it more in
Woo!
today's day and age than us? Okay, we are still a demographic that has a ways to go. Um, and we deserve this. We deserve this
Yes,
attention.
I was gonna say that actually, that, they have not done as much research on the woman's health,
Mhm.
than they have the male, right?
Yeah.
So they're still learning about how our body works, and yeah, how our body works, and I want to say it, but I'm not going to say it. But yes, but just, there we have not been prioritizing, or like, what's the word, like, I feel we even like put ourselves on the back burner when you were saying earlier, like how we do so much, right? So like, but it's when you think about it, like I said, this has always been a man's world, right? So now I feel like that's shifting. And so they didn't focus on our health, and there's still a lot that they don't know about the vagina and the reproductive, our reproductive
Yeah.
system, and so they're still learning. But in society, like, in some ways we were, that's how, what we, I guess it was ingrained in us because of the way the world is, right? That we're just going to take it on, we're going to figure out, we're going to do it, and put ourselves last. So I'm here to, like, get rid of that. Like, I'm going to be a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, a better employee if I serve myself first, if I
Yes.
listen to myself, and I mean,
Yeah.
that's the biggest takeaway. And I don't care how old you are, you have to understand it's never too late to invest in yourself, and to pour into yourself. And life is too short. I want to be happy.
Hmm.
I want to have that joy. I want to give that joy. And I mean, time is just so precious. Like, I'm telling you, like, it goes faster. And I hate to spoil this for you because I know I'm older than you, but it gets faster the older you get, because you're so much more aware how it's not, oh yeah, we can have a whole nother podcast episode on this, but
I know it though because oh gosh, it's almost embarrassing on the other side too. Sometimes, working in a field where everyone is like so experienced. I'll say I'm trying not to make it sound like old, like more senior than I am, and with more experience in the field. Every now and then I check myself, and I'm reminded myself how much I still have to learn, not only in my career but in life.
yes, yes.
So I will say though, you're absolutely correct. I'm starting to find that out myself. My 10-year high school reunion was like last year, which means
Wow.
college is coming up soon too.
Yes.
Um, and when I graduated high school, I'll never forget my dad's biggest piece of advice for me was life is going to come at you fast. From this point on,
Hmm.
it's just going to be like whoosh. So you need to savor the moment, take
Yes.
advantage while you can, but also use your time wisely. Don't
Yes.
just go out there and make it all about having fun. Don't make it all about work.
Mhm.
Find your balance, use your
Yes.
time wisely because before you know
Yes.
it, you're going to be like, oh, my college 10-year reunion is this year, my 10-year anniversary at work. And what,
Mhm.
looking back on all that time, it feels like it went by in the blink of an eye. And I'm already starting to get a
Mhm.
taste of that. So,
It is, but I think if you live with intention,
yes,
right?
yes.
Right, and you have a plan. Like, you don't have to, like, because I do see this a lot with a lot of young kids. They don't know what they want to do and they're stressed. And I'm like, look, just set little goals. What is it? What is your ultimate? Like, even if you don't know what you want, how do you want to feel?
Mm,
Right? Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Do you want to feel secure? You want to feel like, what is it? Because we all, thrive for different things, right? And depending on your childhood experience, right?
yeah,
Like your inner child comes out when you're much older, right? And so it's like you have to sit and figure that out, right? So it's just have those little goals and just be more realistic, right? Like, for instance, make your bed every day. Like, you just have to, like, do certain things and make them achievable. And if you just go in that direction, I think you'll be fine. Like, you don't have to know you want to be a doctor. Like, you know what I mean? you know,
yes.
it's like you may not, and I know now life is so different for the younger generations, and there's much more different ways to make money. So I just think that, or have different types of careers, right? Before it was always just, you know, doctor, lawyer, salesman, I don't know, whatever it was, but like, there's
Yeah,
just so many more
yeah,
opportunities, right? So I think they're overwhelmed
100%.
with what they can and can't do. So I think just setting, whether it's yearly, 5 years, I think that, just like what your dad said, it will go. So I think
Yeah,
if you just set that intention, and have that little goal,
yeah.
smaller goals, you'll be fine.
I love what you said about thinking about how you want to feel because for me, for example, I always wanted to feel impactful. And I knew
Mm,
that any career I settled on, I would want to feel like it was making a difference in and making this world a better place somehow, whether that was in the medical field,
yep.
in the food industry, um, something that was going to improve, the state of who we are as people, as a
Mhm.
collective human race. But for
Exactly.
others, it's like they want to feel free, and that's admirable too. What can you do that will provide you with the
Exactly.
freedom? Or maybe they want to feel, nurtured. There's places for that. There's always a place where you can fulfill that. And I love that piece of advice that you have. Maybe that did we get a bonus tip
We
for this
did. Thank you for that. I love this conversation, because, you know, you're giving me as much as I'm giving you. And I love that.
episode?
Like, Yeah, so thank you. I love this.
Thank you.
So I
Thank
do
you.
want to encourage people to keep pushing, keep conquering, and keep shining. And on that
Amen.
note,
Amen.
we will talk to Angela soon, but we're going to end on that note. So remember, how do you want to feel? I think that's the takeaway, right?
I love it. I love it. Thank
Yay!
you, Dawn.
Thank you.